this is a pattern that they're using at the Congress here, 1214 Horsemanship. And it says, before it even describes what to do in the pattern, it says, be ready at A. So if that's called for, you want to make sure you're up there even with that cone A. You don't want to start out with some type of penalty before you even put that in your pattern. Good, Bryce. We'll start with the first maneuver is extending the jog to B. He actually first maneuver is extending the jog to B. He actually he jogged off and got into that extended trot very nicely, very smooth. That to me looked, I kind of like plus up and down, like kind of a Western riding class or rating class where you get a plus half up to 1.5 on a maneuver or minus half to 1.5 on a maneuver. So that to me was a plus situation. He moved up, it was smooth, and it was a nice stop. I gave him a plus half of that. On the turn, I felt like he lost his position a little bit, kind of came, leaned a little bit out, and so that horse was kind of having to hold his balance because he was a little bit out of position. So, and even though the turn was fairly smooth, just that lack of position, caused me to take a half point away right there. I minus half the turn. The right knee lump circle is nice cadence, nice and smooth, light contact. He was, lightly guiding with his hands and legs, not overusing excessively in your area. Circle plus half. And then on the lead change, I believe he went for a flying lead change and ended up getting a simple lead change. Now, I know that's probably going to be a question for you guys, but the simple lead change it's just a lack of degree of difficulty. At this kind of level here at the Congress or the World Shows, you want to see those top riders are going to have a flying lead change. So he actually had a pretty smooth, simple, but no degree of difficulty, so no plus in that situation. So
when you see a horse actually kind of just both ends are moving, that's not real ugly. But if a horse moves that pivot foot a little bit, it's almost impossible to get that kind of pace and hold the pivot foot. I would say that if this horse was fine, there was no penalty situations there.
How aggressive do you want that pattern to be? How forward?
How forward? I would say that was a very safe pattern.
Short tires, a little quicker.
Yeah, a little more power to the gallop, maybe a little more power to the turn, a little. But you also want to make sure that you don't go for so much power that you blow yourself out of the water as well and have mistakes because you did that as well. Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
When you're moving parallel to the cones, how far away from the cone is too far?
Good question. Her question was how far off the cone is too far when you're parallel with the marker. Generally, I would say about a horse length is a good popsicle sticks. You know, we're going to get those popsicle sticks and take them on. I think that just shows a lot of tension, that you have a lot of tension and you're trying too hard. So, as we have our students do at a horse show, we know what the pattern is. One huge, what we talked about